Today we're making homemade bone broth out of leftover Christmas hams. This process is super easy and it really doesn't take that much effort. I'm gonna start by putting my ham bones inside my Nesco roaster oven. You absolutely do not need one of these. If you don't have a roaster oven, you can use just a stock pot, or you can even just use a normal crock pot. I'd say most people at least have a crock pot nowadays. Now that our hams are in here, we're gonna cover them with about 2 to 3 inches of cold water. You also wanna put 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in here. Now we're gonna let this soak for 20 to 30 minutes, and what this does, the cold water in the apple cider vinegar starts pulling the minerals and collagen out of the bones. Now I usually don't go buy vegetables to make my bone broth. I have a freezer bag that I keep in my freezer for vegetable scraps. However, I did not have enough for this big batch that I'm making. So I have a whole onion that I'm gonna cut up, some broccoli, and I have some baby carrots. Most vegetables are fine when you're making your homemade bone broth, but there are some that you should avoid. You don't want any of the Brassica family, like broccoli, cauliflower. Those apparently something to do with sulfur compounds releasing after how long you cook it for. Makes the broth taste funky. You don't want to use kale or mustard greens because they turn bitter if you cook them long enough. And you don't want to use starchy vegetables like potatoes or sweet potatoes because they can make your broth cloudy and thick. No, this is not how I normally cut up my onions either. But bone broth does not care how they are cut, so neither do I at this moment. And yes, the stems are going in the bone broth. Every part gets used. We're not gonna add in our vegetable scraps till the last 4 to 6 hours so that these don't turn the broth bitter. I wasn't gonna mention this, but I might as well. I waited until hams went on sale during Christmas time. They went on sale for 78 cents a pound. I bought 3 big whole hams for $8. They're originally like $42 and I paid $8. I got my money's worth out of that $8 too. So as a pro tip, wait till the holidays when the hams and the turkeys go on sale. Buy an extra 1 or 2 or 3 like I did, and you can really stretch your food budget. Depending on how frugal you really want to be, I bet that you could even go to your relative's house and be like, hey grandma, what you doing with that ham bone after dinner's done? And I bet you, most people just throw them away. I bet you they'll send it on home with you. Okay, it's been 25 minutes and you're supposed to wait 20 to 30, so we're gonna go ahead with the next step. You wanna cover your roaster oven and turn it to 200 degrees. If you're not using a roaster oven and you're using a crock pot, keep it on low. And if you're using a stock pot on the stove, keep it on low also, low heat. You just want a little bit of a simmer, not a full boil. You want to keep this in here for at least 12 hours. Now halfway through the cooking session, I'm gonna come back and add in all of those veggies. We're about to throw in our veggie scraps. Give it a good stir and let it sit for about another 6 hours. It's been about 24 hours since I started this, so let's check it out. It smells so freaking good, and look at that. Wow. That looks so good. Smells so good. Oh yeah. I'm gonna turn this off and let it cool down before I strain out all of the vegetables and the bones. This is the exact way that I use to make my chicken broth, and it's the same way that I plan on making my beef broth from my bones I got from my half cow. It's quite a few hours later. We're just gonna strain out the vegetables and the bones that we can. I was able to get a lot out of there. The next step is gonna be straining it into my stock pot through my strainer. Hopefully I don't make a mess. This is not ideal, but I'm not strong enough to lift the whole pot. Learn from my mistake. Don't fill up your stock pot over these little handle joints. It will leak. We're gonna strain our broth one more time through cheesecloth on top of our strainer. All right, stick this in your fridge overnight to chill. All right, our broth has chilled in the fridge and it will form a layer of fat on top. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna scrape off all of that fat. All right, I got plenty of the fat off. It should jiggle like Jello. All right, you did it. You made your own homemade ham bone broth. What a super simple process. If you want to see how I'm gonna preserve my homemade ham bone broth, make sure you check out this next video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.